With Evergreen Conservancy, our main thrust is really water preservation and protection. We are doing abandoned mine discharge cleanup, so prior to the 60s, mines didn't have to reclaim their closed mines. So there was a lot of orange streams in the area. If you looked at this area, maybe 20 years ago, every stream was terribly polluted.
The mineral extraction people or companies come in and they promise jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And in this down economy,
that's what the people need.
That's what people need. They need jobs, okay? But they want to sacrifice the environment for these jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the biggest obstacle. Okay, the lumber industry, they clear cut the whole state. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and as a result, a lot of siltation and mud flowing into our streams and rivers, and they got thermal pollution as well as siltation. Then the mining industry came. They weren't regulated as far as the amount of water, or the quality of water they could put back into the streams. So they killed a lot of the streams in coal country, both in anthracite and bituminous. Yeah. So a lot of the streams are dead, still today.
This area is a little bit of a zone of national sacrifice, and largely in relation to the coal industry, we've sacrificed a lot. People in Western Pennsylvania, residents, folks that have lived here for a long time, have sacrificed a lot in order for the rest of the country to have electricity run on coal. Environmentally, you see the scars all around as far as what strip mining has done and what subsidence has done. Abandoned mine drainage is a huge problem everywhere, and although it's getting better, it will never go away. Folks have accepted those sacrifices. Folks have worked in the mines and they've worked in the industry, and there is a real pride there because there's been such hard work, and that is an important part of the identity here for folks, and it is valid, and there's no doubt that it is a struggle that was worth it. So when sort of fracking came along and the Marcellus Shale boom started, and people started asking really important questions, there is this boom. We're not sure about Marcellus, we're not sure about the horizontal, the drilling, the deep drilling just yet. What are people willing to sacrifice? That's already been answered. People are willing to sacrifice a lot.
Our economy here has been centered on coal and natural gas for so long, and especially coal. Coal has been really, really damaging to the environment, to the ecosystem, and also to, I think, the psyche of the residents, and that's another thing that we want to think about. An author, Tony O'Dell, who actually went to my high school, and her novels are about Western Pennsylvania, and one of the characters said there's a sense of deprivation here, and that was really about the mines closing, people leaving, but not just that the mines closed and the companies left, it's just they left with bony piles and just all this sort of detritus of industry, and it creates, there's an environmental perception kind of, from an environmental perception standpoint, it creates problems. And part of that is creating this sort of mentality or mindset of colonization, like, oh, we need to take these jobs, gosh, gas is here, let's just jump on this bandwagon and let's do it, and damn the consequences kind of thing. And
in my opinion, DEP, I believe, is spread out too thin with all the mining and gas well activities in our area. Therefore, I'm not sure DEP is capable of keeping an eye out for all these different issues. We rely on local sportsmen, hunters, fishermen, trappers to pretty much regulate our only source of water. Local enforcement would help, but we don't have the authority. That's the problem. Yeah. And I'm not sure the state of Pennsylvania wants to give that authority to local government.
There is always difficulty establishing a balance between the various needs of various constituents in a place. So you have your economic issues, and of course in Indiana County you have your whole jobs issues surrounding natural resource extraction, whether it's coal or natural gas or whatever. You have the issues of water quality, air quality, land use, all of those things that come into play. So you're always having trouble balancing all of the needs of various constituencies.
The state government and the governor have started to look at state parks and forests as potential places to make money rather than environmentally sensitive areas that ought to be protected or conserved or used in a really balanced way. So we recently lost the director of the state parks who was essentially forced out because he wanted to proceed very carefully with the development of natural resources in the parks.
And a real challenge that I've found is to try to convince people that it's okay to have both. We should be able to go after the Marcellus Shale, we should be able to go after this gas, we should be able to use it, and we should not have to sacrifice our water quality. There's a way to do this. It's called having transparency, it's called having a strong regulation process, it's called making sure the industry is not calling the shots.